Hello and welcome to Xbox Infinite. Oh, we're not even showing up on the screen. G'day, welcome everyone to Xbox Infinite. Hopefully we're live and you can hear me. If we've got any audio issues, let me know because I've got a whole new setup. So yeah, Discord is wonderful. Absolutely right, Flag Guy. How's everyone going today? I can't see anyone on screen, so I think we're having some Discord issues. But hopefully we can hear you. We got Fly Guy, special guest today. It's going to be a massive show. There's a shitload to talk about, so let's get straight into it. Fly Guy, how you doing? What have you been up to? How's things? What have you been playing? What's going on? Oh, I think we just lost everyone out of the stream. Oh. Wow. We just got booted out of the stream. I'm not even sure if we're live. Everyone in the chat, can you guys hear us?
Is going.
Can you guys hear us? Oh, wow.
Okay. Back.
Well, it looks like the video's going, but
It is, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know if
nobody's texting back that they can hear.
Can anyone hear us? Check. Check.
All right.
Oh, Yadani says he can hear us.
He said-
Yadani can hear us.
Oh,
Thanks,
awesome. Well,
Yadani.
for some reason, you can't see us. I don't know what's going on with that, but Discord's pretty messed up right now. So, unfortunately, that's just how it is. It's a real. Anyway, we'll jump forward. Fly Guy, how you doing, man? Welcome to the show. It's a bit of a messed up show this week, thanks to Discord, but it's good to have you with us, man. What have you been up to? What have you been playing? How's your week been?
Oh man, weeks have been great. What I've been playing, actually, I went back and I tried to finish Gears 5 because I did not finish that years ago. And you know, lately just been doing the content creation thing, chilling.
Awesome. Great to have you with us, man. We got a lot to talk about this week. Yeah, sorry everyone in the chat. When we jumped in, for some reason, it booted everyone from the channel. I don't know what the hell happened there, but we'll try to move forward. Infinite Umbra. How you doing, man? Welcome to the show. What's been going on?
Oh, yeah. Girl, I'm here to tell you one thing and one thing only. I'm about to run my hands down the side of your back and show you how much you mean to me. Okay, I'm sorry. That's enough. Cut the music. You got the damn record skip thing too. Okay. I like that. No, man, it's been good. Really, really good, actually. I'm currently moving, so it's annoying, but I had a really good show yesterday. Me and Danny, we had Randall Thor and my brother Kay Asante on there. We had a 3-hour show, but man, it was dope. Like nothing but laughs throughout the whole thing, and just talking real stuff about the everything going down, including of course the whole situation with factions. It just got introduced right on my lap as the show was about to start, so it worked out just nice. But man, happy to be here with you guys today, and happy to have you with us, Fly Guy.
Oh man, I appreciate you guys having me.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And I don't think Pete's realized that he's been kicked from the show yet, so we'll jump straight to Blue. How's your week been? What have you been doing? What have you been up to?
Hello. It's gonna be fun tonight. We'll see how this goes, right? Every day is a new adventure. Hi, Fly Guy. Thanks for being here.
Hello.
Week has been good. Busy, but also not busy. Playing a lot of games, playing a lot of Call of Duty and other things. And I'm gonna be doing the Skull and Bones closed beta this weekend. So we shall see. And I know you have opinions on that, but
I'm so
I
sorry
have
for
to
you.
try it for myself.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry for you.
Yeah, you're really gonna love
yours
that one.
was how many months ago? The game could have drastically changed in that amount of time. Just hold on. There's no NDA or anything on this one. It's full discussion, share your screen, whatever you want. 6 hours of play. So we'll see.
Oh, okay. They sound confident then if they're allowing that.
Oh, so there's no
Yeah,
NDA.
Yeah. They sound confident. No, not at all. They're even letting people stream their 6 hours. So
Oh, wow.
we'll
Okay.
see.
That is confident. Hang on 2 seconds.
Mhm.
Switch
My
it back
server's
up.
back.
Beautiful.
There we
We got the
Yeah.
people back. Pete still has not realized. Well, we'll just ask him how he's going anyway. Pete, how's your week been? What have you been up to? Welcome back.
Oi, mate. I've been playing a lot of zombies. Zombies and Baldur's Gate. Baldur's Gate. Great.
Why he sounds like a bogan now.
Look,
Oi,
we'll
mate.
we'll do his intro when he comes back in. But he's probably talking to himself. He's probably been talking to himself the entire time. But we'll jump straight into the topics of the week. First topic off the bat is factions. I mean, no one saw this coming. This is just out of the blue, right? I couldn't have guessed this. Factions, Naughty Dog's released a bit of an update on factions, very basically canceling it. I'll read out what they posted because this is very interesting. Says, we realize many of you have been anticipating news around the project and that we've been calling The Last of Us, news around the project that we've been calling Last of Us Online. There's no easy way to say this. We made the incredibly difficult decision to stop development on that game. We know this news will be tough for many, especially for our dedicated Last of Us Factions community who have been following our multiplayer ambitions ardently. You know that that arrogant wanker wrote this because he used the word ardently. But anyway, we're equally crushed at the studio as we were looking forward to putting it in your hands. We wanted to share with you some background how we came to this decision. This is where it gets really, really interesting and some of the biggest, it's just, this doesn't make any sense to me. And we'll go to the panel and we'll go to the guests and we'll see what you guys think. Because I've got some thoughts. So the multiplayer team has been in pre-production with this game since we were working on The Last of Us Part 2. That's nearly 4 years, crafting an experience that we felt was unique and had tremendous potential. As the multiplayer team iterated on their concept for The Last of Us Online during this time, their vision crystallized. The gameplay got more refined and satisfying, and we were enthusiastic about the direction in which we were headed. In ramping up to full production, the massive scope of our ambition became clear. To release and support The Last of Us Online, we'd have to put all our studio resources behind supporting post-launch content for years to come, severely impacting development on future single-player games. So we had two paths in front of us: become a solely live service game studio, or continue to focus on single-player narrative games that have defined Naughty Dog's heritage. We're immensely proud, bloody-bloody-blah, bloody-bloody-blah. The usual bullshit. The unusual thing about this, the really unusual thing about this is the fact that they started creating a live service game and didn't realize they would have to support their live service game. Like, what the hell is that? Like, what is that? Like, that's one of the worst excuses, but I can absolutely see that this is 110% worked with some of the community, especially the PlayStation guys. They're like, yes, this is awesome. They're going to continue to make single player games. Meanwhile, let's ignore the fact that they've just built an entire game for nearly 4 years and we don't get to play it. And we're going to have to wait another 5 to 6 years for the next game. This is just madness to me that people are backing this up online. I couldn't believe the response. I thought, surely, you know, your general PlayStation pundits are going to have to say something about this. This is going to, negative. But no. They're going to flip it. It's a positive. We're getting single player games. Fly Guy, I'm going to go to you, man. You obviously saw this break a couple of days ago. What do you think about this? You think it's fair? You happy about single player games, or do you think this is just really weird?
To be completely honest, this is probably the main reason I bought my PlayStation 5 was for factions, because I played factions on PlayStation 3 and 4 before, and I did enjoy that game. So this is a huge disappointment to anybody that like really got to play factions. So I don't know, like in my opinion, I don't think that if you're gonna develop a game for this long, it should just be scrapped out of nowhere. If anything, if you guys want to work on single player and multiplayer, hire more staff. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's what I was saying. Like they actually cut staff from the studio. But I mean, if you're developing a game for 3 years, you can't just get to the end of the game and go, oh shit, no, we're gonna have to support this, right? They would have known this. They could have built the studio over time, bring that talent into the multiplayer sector that they're working on, and then just split the studio. They could have created an entirely different Naughty Dog splinter arm that focuses on multiplayer or live service, and then taken their core staff, their base staff, and started making single player games. This makes absolutely no sense. It just stinks of absolute bullshit. And I also think that this has got a lot to do with the fact that Jim Ryan's shifting out of the company, and that I think they're shifting gears. I think SIE, the head of second in charge of SIE, stepped in and rolled back some of the decisions that I think Jim's made. Blue, what do you think? Do you think that this has got anything to do with Jim Ryan's departure, and that we would have seen a fully supported Factions if he had stayed?
I think that PlayStation, Jim has this mega plan for all these gas games, and it's a good idea in theory, but they have to have a good balance, and I think we're seeing the lack of that balance. And it kind of makes me think about Redfall, because I'm sure Factions, but we know, right? Bungie came in and went, oh no, right? Like, this isn't working. And I'm sure they just all thought, well, we'll fix it, right? We'll make it better. It'll be fine. And then I think they just got to a point where it's not fixable. And so it kind of makes me reminiscent of Redfall, right? Like, I'm sure that there was a point where they kind of went, well, there's a lot of things here to fix. Do we put it out and have something, or do we kill it, right? And so I don't know if PlayStation looked at what happened with Xbox and thought, we're not going to do that, especially because The Last of Us is such a iconic IP, right, for them, that there's already a lot of scuttlebutt, whether you love or hate The Last of Us Part 2, right? There's a lot of division around that franchise at the moment. And if you come out with something that is going to be it's going to be
divisive,
not seen favorably, right? Like, it's going to have more negative reviews than positive. You probably don't want something like that attached to probably your highest held IP at the moment, besides maybe God of War. But they've also got the TV show right now, getting into the mainstream and pulling people in through that as well. So they don't want any negative light on The Last of Us, in my opinion.
Yeah, but just to push back on that a little bit, one of the developers formerly of Naughty Dog, I can't remember where he is now, he came out and said he spent most of his time at Naughty Dog working on The Last of Us Factions, and that it was the best multiplayer he played then and since, which is high praise, probably a bit of hyperbole, but that's interesting to know it wasn't bad, right?
I'll be right back. My dog is eating something he shouldn't. Sorry.
No, I think it might be a bit of hyperbole. You gotta get out of here with these damn 1932 sound effects. Wah, 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 wah. No, but I think it's a bit of hyperbole for sure. It's just the best I've ever played. Very doubtful that it's the best ever. I doubt that. If it was that, they wouldn't have canceled it. And thing is, I think we had this discussion yesterday, and Rand and Kay made such really great points, and Danny too. And you heard it, Risk. It's like the whole thing is, how did you not plan for this ahead of time and know that doing a live service game with it would require you having a ton of staff to continue working on said live service game? Did you think you would just make it and put it out there and that's it? You don't have to do anything? That's not how it works. And that's the thing. So you have to look at this and say, okay, is this poor management? Now, if this was Xbox, we all know what we've been hearing right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So why is it that Sony is getting a pass when it comes to this? And that's the problem. And if you look at the media, Even Ryan, and I have to reiterate that I like Ryan McCaffrey. I do. But you have to call out some things when you see it. And Ryan has made excuses for Sony time and time again when they have just made the dumbest mistakes and handling of things, right? One of his tweets, and a lot of people got on him about this. Excuse me, I have to sneeze. Excuse me. What the hell? That threw me all the way off. What the hell is that for? One of his tweets. I want to find it to read it exactly. But
well, while you're finding it, we have to point out that Pete has arrived.
Welcome, Pete.
Wow, that was crazy. As soon as we started the stream, Discord just kicked me and would not let me back in. G'day, everyone. Sorry I'm late.
No, all good. It kicked all of us. It kicked all of us straight out. We were all talking to each other, and I was doing intros to myself. How's your week been? What have you been up to? What have you been playing? While Umbra finds that tweet.
Honestly, I've been doing camo grinds on Call of Duty, but yesterday I started Baldur's Gate 3, and we had a great time, Risk, didn't we? That game is really, really cool, really fun. It took me, 4 hours to design my character because I struggle making choices in games, and just the character creator gives you an infinite amount of choices to choose. But I'm down now. I'm a ranger. I have chosen. I'm going forward with it, and I cannot wait to get further into it. There was a sale on the other day, and I bought Dead Island 2, so really looking forward to getting into that. Yeah, that's about it.
You know we got to jump on it together, but I also feel like you're skipping out on some details with your created character on PG3.
No, so whatever
Blue just say he would say
about,
this?
Please enlighten the community.
So I will.
She did.
You think I will say it? So Pete, chat, and family. Pete made a character, and he shared some of, he made a helper character, I guess assistant, whatever it is, in BG3, and he's sharing the screenshots with us in chats and showing us what his characters look like. I see his lady. I'm like, all right, she looks pretty cool. And then he shares his guy, and he's not sure where to go with him. And he had like little locks in his head, like little dreadlocks. I'm like, oh yeah, I see it. And his reasoning was sound. He's out in the woods. He's a woodsy kind of hunter guy, right? A trekker, right? What does he be?
He's a ranger. Yeah,
he's a ranger. So, and look, Gray already know where I'm going. So he changes the hair because he's unsure. He's like, okay, I'm not sure what to do with the hair. And then he shows us the second image of him. And his guy went from being a manly ranger to looking like he performed Chippendales in a gay bar the next time after we see him. I dubbed him Bruce. That's his name. Bruce. Hi, I'm Bruce. How are you? So super.
Jealousy. Pure jealousy.
So fantastic to meet you. I'm a trekker. I'm an outdoorsy type. I don't know. I just thought it was hilarious. And me and Gray were just making fun of Pete's character for about 40 minutes straight. It was just hilarious. But yeah, hey.
The person that had my back was Red Panda. And, she's the only one with any class in the party.
No, Panda started getting in on it too. She started getting in on it at one point. she was. Then he's like,
some morons.
Then he was like, his name is Peter with an A. I'm like, oh, he likes Peter with the. Okay, let me stop. But no,
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
hilarious.
All right, back to Ryan. We're looking for Ryan's tweet. How do we go?
I found it. So he says, the writing has been on the wall for The Last of Us Online after recent reports about it. And he says, so this formal cancellation isn't a surprise, which honestly it's not. That party's right. But then he says, I certainly don't mind Naughty Dog continuing to focus on what it does best, making incredible single-player games. Okay, cool, right? But somebody calls him out and says, well, PlayStation really seems to be in a bad stretch right now. VR 2, multiple live service games announced in a saturated market that we know got set aside, 6 of them. Only Wolverine confirmed as a single-player game. Surely the games will be coming at some point, but what if they are years away? This is Matthew Bertrand who says this. And Ryan replies, in making a defense for him, he says, I wouldn't say bad personally, but perhaps a bit of a perplexing stretch. They had great quality over quantity year with Spider-Man 2 and Final Fantasy 16, which was effectively first party. So how did you just usher in Final Fantasy 16 as a first party game? See, Microsoft couldn't do that. He would never have made that defense for Microsoft. But you just ushered in Final Fantasy as a de facto first party to make PlayStation look better. Of course, it's exclusive, so you can say, well, they had this exclusive. Okay. But then he says, what else did he say after that? They had a great quality, blah, blah, blah. Okay. But indeed, their live service stuff is seemingly all years off, and Wolverine is their only big known first party single player game, and that is likely 10 months away. It's not necessarily bad at all. It's just strange how quiet they've been. Blah, 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 blah. We live in interesting times, exclamation point. My whole point of that is to say, and he's not the only one that's made kind of positive remarks like that. If you look, I think Hogue Law was the only one that really kind of called it out, where he said this is a masterclass in turning what should have been, a PR disaster, pointing out the mismanagement of Naughty Dog, turned into a demonizing, basically, of live service games instead. And it's largely because the media didn't get up on them like that. And that's why, if this had been Xbox, and I hate to do the whole, but if this was this, but if had it been Xbox, we all know the energy would be way different. So again, it comes back to this. They've been working on Factions for the better part of what, 4 years, 5 years now? 4.5? How do you at now just realize, we just realized it will take the more complexity to have more people continuously working on the content for this, that it's too ambitious, that it's this and it's that. How do you just realize that? This is not some startup team. This is, one of the most awarded first-party studios in all of gaming. So I just don't buy that right there, that suddenly they didn't know that this was going to require more. And it speaks to some type of mismanagement. Now, I don't know if it's just squarely on Naughty Dog, and that's maybe why Jim Ryan is in a white tee right now, eating his cookie with his face on it. But something is off at PlayStation, and I don't think people really want to call it out. And when we do it, because we are Xbots, right, people don't really want to hear it from us. You see what I mean? So it takes the PlayStation guys to really call it out, but they refuse to do it. So it's a lot of coddling going on because it's PlayStation. Shout out to Kay, and he said to the press, this is Naughty Dog writing the ship, so they won't give them the smoke. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And that's the problem, because again, if it's Microsoft, not only will the press give them the smoke, us as a fan base, we typically give them the smoke. Now, we got some extremes, don't get me wrong, we got some extremists who might not say that, but typically us as a fan base, the Xbox fan base, we don't allow Microsoft to slide by when they do something shoddy or handle something shoddily, right? PlayStation guys will absolutely make defenses for PlayStation no matter what. This is why we have $70 games ushered in. I will never forgive them for that. And because they okayed and were like, all right, yeah, no, we'll buy it. I don't care if they charge 120. I've heard them say this, in spaces and such. I've seen them write it. Is if you're broke, just say that. Get out of gaming. Gaming is an expensive hobby. All these things to write off and okay Sony being anti-consumer. But there's a price to pay with that. And so, Sony has had a very down year overall. And I think because they had Spider-Man.
I wouldn't say down. I would say, it's more perplexing,
Well, that's what Ryan would say. That's what Ryan would say, perplexing. He said that. But no, and I don't say down as in it's been a terrible year, because they've had clearly some records, right, set as far as sales, but that's what they always go to. Sales, look at the sales. But if we're talking about as far as what they delivered when it comes to first party, it's night and day. It's night. You go back to the PS4 era and look at what they're doing now. It's night and day on how they've not delivered when it comes to first party. And you said a bit of it before, Risk, where if this is now where they've canceled this game, they've canceled this mode, which was promised, and cut content, by the way, content from whatever you want to call it. This cut content that was supposed to be a part of the Last of Us 2. They cut that from that to say we're going to sell this as a standalone thing, or whatever, right? And now you're not even getting that. So if they're saying, hey, now that's put aside, and you won't get this thing now. We have to wait 5 or 6, whatever more years, saying how complex game development has become before we get an actual AAA game from them again. That might be the next gen for them, as far as we know. That's the problem with all of this. It's a lack of actual accountability being pointed directly at Sony for this, where they would hold Microsoft accountable, and it's a lack of. It just seems off brand for Insomniac. Oh, excuse me, for Naughty Dog rather, who
They're going to
is
be
usually
they're
on
going to be
top of things.
they're going to be banging on your door any minute, right? You better be quick.
Yeah, you hear them. You hear them. That's the wrap it up. That's that Jeff Keighley sent them my way. Wrap it up.
No, I hear what you're saying as well. It's 110%. You're looking at this is almost 4 years of development, and now typically you would see a 4-year cycle from Naughty Dog, 5-year cycle. We could be looking at a 6 or 7 year cycle. So you shouldn't be expecting anything from Naughty Dog for this generation, I believe. If that's the cycle, I think the cycle is going to be about 7 years. So I don't think you will see anything from Naughty Dog. So that means they've basically, if you exclude their remasters and the other remaster, they've skipped a whole generation. They've lost a whole generation to the development of, as you put it, a mode. And no one's angry about this. I mean, and Fly Guy, we've been talking since the Xbox tax thing was going on. And this is the Xbox tax right now. I mean, it's a weird sort of way to. I don't like the phrasing. And Blue, I know you don't like the phrasing either. I'm not a big fan of Xbox tax, but it sort of covers the gamut, right? When it's not just. I think someone put it pretty succinctly on Destin's call-in show when they said maybe it's not an Xbox tax, maybe it's a PlayStation gift card, because this seems like they're just being gifted a free pass to horrifically, and there's no other way to say it. Up, and then no one says anything. The media don't call it out. The PlayStation guys don't call it out. Like, it's left to us to call it out. And as you said, Umbra, no one wants to hear the Xbox guys calling out issues from PlayStation. So I mean, Fly Guy, you think this is related to the Xbox tax? You think it's part of the whole gifting of Sony?
So honestly, somebody said I remember somebody said with PlayStation gift card. I call it PlayStation privilege myself, but I think that's more of what it is. They because they have been so successful in the past when it comes to whatever they've made. I feel like people are just giving them a pass, and they shouldn't be. They shouldn't be giving them a pass just because they had past success. I think they should be held accountable for the things that they did that has caused them to be in a position that they're in now.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. It's honestly, it's getting a little bit tiring because we've been talking. We're 102 episodes now, and we've been talking about this probably since about episode 3. We've been talking about this bias that we have been seeing. So we've been going on about it for years. So it just, you get tired of it. The metros, the PC gamers, and it doesn't seem like it's ever going to stop. I guess it's up to Xbox to stop. But Pete, what do you think of Naughty Dog? Developing a game for 4 years, tabling the game, and then saying they're going to pivot. Do you think we're going to see a game out of them anytime soon? Oh, one other thing that I thought this might happen, Pete, that I didn't say last night when we were talking, is that I think very likely if they do put out a game this generation, they are going to cut up the game that they have already made and take parts of that game and stick it into a new game. And I think that's probably going to lessen quality. Like, I would be concerned if that's what they do. I don't know if they are going to do it, but it seems like a likely thing, right? What do you think?
I'm a big proponent of studios making games that they're best at. Naughty Dog have proven time and time again that they are the best at making single-player, story-driven games. This whole thing is a disgrace on PlayStation side. They should be called out for it. I feel sorry for the people that worked for years on this Factions that's probably never going to see the light of day. I think if the game was any good, Umbra, they were saying that it's the best multiplayer game, then the game would have released. Now, they might pass it on to another studio, but will we see another game from Naughty Dog? I don't know. Maybe if it's The Last of Us 3 and they don't need to do any world building or environmental building and the main crux of the story has already been developed. But aside from that, if they're starting and they're going to make a brand new, fresh game, I don't see them bringing out a game this generation, unfortunately. And they're far too good of a studio to go that long without a game. I do think that this whole pivot is because of the Jim Ryan thing and Jim Ryan leaving. I'm glad. I think that Jim Ryan was really causing PlayStation to be going in the wrong direction. Yes, having some games of a service games are good, but I think Redfall's a really good example. Arcane are good at really good environmental storytelling games, and when you're pushed to make a game that's live service, and you push a studio to go in a certain direction, I don't think the game turns out very, very well, and I think Redfall's a good example of that.
That's an interesting point.
Got more negative?
You are making a very interesting point there. That is, I was thinking that as you were talking, and then you went straight to it. Redfall. Okay, so let's think about this, right? So what did we all say they should have done with Redfall? They should have gone back to the drawing board and kept developing, or they should have just canceled the game and moved on. So this is an example of canceling the game and moving on. So devil's advocate, I mean, I think they should be getting a heap of smoke, in my opinion. I think the media should be coming out and slating them like, what the hell's going on? If you're going to cancel this, this should have been canceled about 2 years ago, right?
I will point out, though, Risk, we said that because the game came out as poorly as it did. Now, you have that other dev saying it's the best he's ever played. So how poor was it for them is what I'd like to know.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's saying it's the best game. He's saying it's the best game that he's ever, best multiplayer that he's ever played, and then and since. I mean, that doesn't seem like a game that you should table, right? That seems like a game that you should bring out, right? So
yeah, exactly. Now, that, to be fair, again, we both agree it's probably hyperbolic. What's up, Gaming Addict? So that's, you know, we agree it's probably very hyperbolic, but it goes back to the problem of you put one of your developing teams, like award-winning teams, on doing this, you know, money-making scheme of a live service, and then you abandon it. I think it's just silly. Now, to be fair, yeah, I think, you know, single player aimed gaming rather is better for them to have stuck to. I think, to be fair, you know, because that's their sweet spot. But to dip off like that and to abandon something you've been working on for the better part of 4 years, and then it's like, oh, well, it was too ambitious, we're going to move on to something else. You just cost all that money, you promised all the fans, and you disappointed all of them, and you just swept that under the rug. And now you'll probably get a game from us next gen, maybe. It's pretty disappointing, I would say. And again, Xbox would never have gotten as kind of a reply from Ryan or anybody else if they would have done that.
Oh, definitely not. Definitely not. But is that Xbox's fault? I mean, like, it's a little bit Xbox's fault, right? You can't put all the smoke. You're going to put a little bit of the smoke on Xbox for sort of the way they get treated. Like, I'll definitely 110% say that because they've made so many missteps in the past. But at what point do you start looking at what they're doing now? I mean, they're already doing what they're doing now is like fantastic. They have made very few missteps since 2022, right? We've had a whole year, a very, very decent year. 2021 was good, right? So this generation as a whole, if you look at it, has been probably one of the best generations we've had. And PlayStation's probably having a worse. So at what point do you then start giving PlayStation the smoke? Which is, you know, a good question. Like, when does this Xbox tax bullshit end? Addicts, man, welcome to the show, man. Great to have you on, bro. It's, how was your other show? How's your week been? What have you been up to? What have you been playing?
It's been a long week. I've been playing a lot of Octopath Traveler 2. I've realized that the last boss is bullshit. So I've been grinding so I can actually take him on a lot better. But yeah, I appreciate the invite, man. After King's show, we sent them your way too. So hopefully everything.
Shout out to King, man. Appreciate you guys, man, for sending those guys over. Welcome in the chat, everyone who came over from King's show. Well, Alex, we'll go to you because I haven't heard your thoughts on this whole Naughty Dog thing. Really, we're sort of talking about Redfall in relation to Naughty Dog. So Redfall cancelled. We said, or many people said, we should have cancelled that game and tabled it or developed it for a little bit longer and then brought it out. But I mean, Naughty Dog has cancelled the game. 4 years of development, or nearly 4 years, and now we're moving on to like what? We're going to have to wait for 5 to 6 years to get another game from Naughty Dog. It seems like a bad decision. And then their excuse that they didn't realize that, oh, we're going to have to support this game going forward with our whole studio. Oh shit, we've just realized we're going to have to cancel this game. Seems a bit fishy, right?
Yeah, I think when it comes to this studio in general, I do think that they probably haven't really been working on this particular title too much for a while now. But I do feel like people are going to refer to Jim Ryan as like the Don Matrick of PlayStation, because I do feel like his push for games as a service, I don't think people realize and understand how much that could have really hurt PlayStation. We don't know to the extent yet, but it's like if you are having people split of their attention and they're not working on the games that you're used to, I'm curious if they really have anything even close to being ready to show it on any way, shape, or form. So, you know, I think this is bigger than the Last of Us thing. I think Last of Us is just a symptom. And, you know, I don't think people understand there's a good chance that, like, the damage was so devastating, it's going to take PlayStation a couple years to, like, really come back from this.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, across the board, we're probably looking at a decent amount of time to get those single-player experiences that they're known for back to the table, except for maybe Insomniac. That's a studio I think you can sort of rely on as a workhorse to keep pumping out games every few years.
That's helping them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Naughty Dog's, 4 years in development, and you're looking at minimum, it's got to be minimum another 4 years before you see another game. So, I mean, very sort of disappointing because I was keen to play Factions. It's been, you know, developed by one of the best studios in the business, or so we get told. So we'll move on. Before we do, face Brooklyn, BKNY, face 23 BKNY says, JediKnightPete, how is the PS5 Pro only going to have a 20% delta over the Series X when releasing 4 years after the Series X? Thoughts on the PS5 rumored leak specs if you guys saw it, I guess. Thanks for the 1999 super chat, Face. You're an absolute champion. Pete, he's asking you, man.
Sorry, mate. I missed that, brother. I apologize.
Says how is the PS5? Hang on. Says how is the PS5 Pro only going to have a 20% delta over Series X when it's releasing 4 years after the Series X? Thoughts on PS5 rumored? Says it's going to be 20% more powerful. I'd say that's fair, Pete.
I would say that's fair. I think 20% is, I mean, that's what we were looking at when it came to the PS4 Pro, and that's still pretty good. I mean, games right now, what do we want out of a PS5 Pro? We want it to hit 4K at 60. You know, like, it doesn't really have to be native because some of the checkerboarding techniques are so good now, but we want a constant 60 and we want it to be around that 1400p mark. So, yeah, look, it's all going to come down to price and silicone and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, so the consoles right now, the PlayStation 5, the Xbox, are incredibly expensive consoles. You cannot let that entry barrier get too high. So I think if they launch now, 4 years later, around the same price as maybe $50 to $100 more, I think you're good. But then I would see that as being, you know, the main issue for me personally. Yeah.
Man, you know, if Xbox released the console for $1,000, you'd be buying it. You know that. 110%.
I know I would, but I'm a hardcore brother. Yeah, I'm not like, I mean, the hardcores are always going to buy consoles. That's
right.
Not what I'm worried about. You need the casuals to buy consoles.
Well, I think what I find really interesting here is for quite a long time, you've sort of denied the existence of any kind of pros coming, and that you're willing to accept the existence says to me that I'm going to be requiring your right knee. Umbra, do you want to grab that left one while we're there?
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I said Xbox won't have a mid-gen refresh, and I will stick by that.
Well,
PlayStation, I know
you
what
did
the
say
hell they're doing.
PlayStation. You also said PlayStation, though.
You said PlayStation. Yeah.
Look, I don't think either. Personally, I don't think either will have a mid-gen refresh. I just don't. I think that the consoles that are going to come out are going to be slimmed-down versions. They're going to work on energy conservation, that kind of stuff. But look, everything in PlayStation's up in arms now. Like, Jim Ryan leaving has really put a spanner in the works. So whatever's going to happen going forward is going to be shifted as of now. So, look, I like the focus. if you look at PlayStation's roadmap, should they really be focusing on a PlayStation 5 Pro, or should they be focusing on putting out games? They haven't shown us anything. The only thing that they've got next year is Stellar Blade and Rise of the Ronin, both second-party games. I really worry about that. Then going forward, what have they got after that? Wolverine. So if I were in PlayStation's boat, I would think that I would want to satiate that 40 million people that bought a PlayStation 5 and get them good games to play. I mean, they got a butt kicking this year going through, the court with the Activision thing, eventually losing, Jim Ryan leaving. So what's going over there? There's a little bit of turmoil going on over there. Now Factions being cancelled. And so if I was in management in PlayStation, I would be focusing on that.
Hey, Umbra, did you notice that really subtle pony-esque goalpost shift that he just pulled off right there? That was almost masterful.
So subtle.
Very subtle. Yeah, look,
need a little more time in the stables to get really proficient at it. Yeah.
Hey, that's a good point. It's a good question as well, Face. So I'll sort of run that by the panel. I think we'll go with Fly, our first guest for the day, man. Do you think we're going to see a PlayStation Pro? Do you think a 20% delta is going to be a worthwhile, power buff when you're paying, potentially it's around about the $100 mark more for your Pro? You think it's worth that?
I think that I think it's very possible that both consoles actually have a mid-gen refresh, especially with the documents that leaked for Xbox just a few months ago.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I honestly wouldn't mind either one. I'm getting if they come out, I'm getting them. Just gonna go and throw that out there. But I don't think it would be a bad thing. It can only cause for games to run a little bit better, and also if they were to release mid-gen refreshes and whatnot, I think that the consoles that we currently have, like the regular Xbox Series X, may go down in price, or whatever else, and even the PlayStation 5 would go down in price, probably to like $200 or $300, I would say. And I'm willing to spend for a console probably between 5 and 6, the same as I was for the Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5. So
you willing to spend a bit more though? You willing to spend? Would you spend $1,000? So I'll ask you the same question. Then
no,
that's
not at all. I have a gaming PC. Nope.
That's fair. I mean, Jason Ronald asked me, and I think Attic was there. He asked the same question of us. He said, "How many of you are willing to spend $1,000 for a console?" Half of the table. We're all hardcore gamers, but half of the table had their hand up, half of the table didn't. So, I mean, that's all hardcore gamers. Then if you look at your casuals, you got to reduce those percentages down, right? Attic, you willing to pay $1,000 for a new console? Pro?
It's coming with a TV? Something else? Like, we talk about just a no way in hell. And anyone say that they're willing to buy it, I'm curious to see if they actually follow through when it comes out.
I'll pick it up.
For me, I think it's the specs though. So Addict, if it had like super high end,
it don't matter what happens.
It wouldn't matter to you at all.
Because here's the thing: like, I got a PC. I've seen from personal experience that even with stronger consoles, like, let's be real, the PlayStation 5 Pro, it's gonna be a good little piece of hardware. But are these developers really going to use it? Like, let's be honest here. Are they really going to use it? They might. Sony. They're first parties to a degree, but they still have to make it for the other consoles. So it's like, I think if I was guaranteed, and there's like a clause that I could shoot for everything they had if they didn't use it to the fullest, then I would feel more comfortable spending that money. But I saw last generation that we had all this power with the Xbox One X and the PlayStation 4 Pro. And that wasn't really used too much. Now, there were certain games that ran really good on the Xbox One X, but for the most part, it wasn't a drastic difference. And to me, I would have to see like a drastic difference before I feel like it's worth that money.
But see, that goes to the point I was saying, right? Now, you're talking about third party. First party absolutely will utilize that power. If we can
utilize it, but as long as they're being held back by the previous ones, there's only so much they can do with that power.
No, I disagree. I think Sony has already shown that they're willing to cut off other games and give you a remaster. For instance, they can give you an enhanced version of it that because we're already hearing rumors of it now. You're talking about an enhanced version of what is that game I played? I forgot the name of it, but they're talking about an enhanced version of this other game that's supposed to come out later. I wouldn't put past Sony, who's in their operation is to get more from you from less. So I can see them giving you an enhanced version of a Last of Us or Uncharted or something that's up to whatever with these specs that the PS5 Pro can handle. And I think they're willing to have a tiered system on how they put it out. I think they'll have something that the regular PS5 can handle and something extreme that the PS5 Pro can handle. And the same thing going back to the Xbox One X and stuff like that. The reason why we didn't have that leverage the way we did, Xbox didn't have games like that at that point. We all know that.
But
now,
what
if they had a bunch of first-party games hitting, I think the Xbox One X would have been super popping as far as that. Like, imagine them having the first party they have now in all those games landing on Xbox One X. Absolutely, it would have been utilized, but you just didn't have it. It was just a problem of
The
lack
thing
of
is,
content.
though, is you could change you could change the stuff in the house. You can make stuff look bougie in the house. You could have the latest appliances in the house, but it's still, you're not changing the foundation. It's still going to run on both systems. Now, sure, one will run even vastly better. But at the end of the day, as long as you have to build all this stuff in the old house, to me, it's not worth the upgraded version.
Well,
For
let
the
me ask you
thousands.
then, how do you feel about the S and the X then? Because that same argument is for the S and X people use. And they say, well, it's a tiered system. That was the argument, that the S will run it slightly worse. The X will run it the best out of the consoles. And then the PC, they'll tier it up to make it run best on the PC. So what is your take on that then? Because that's the same exact argument.
And I feel you on that, but here's the thing when it comes to the whole console thing. You know, all I'm saying is I don't feel like something is worth $1,000 unless I see $1,000 worth of things. To me, even because we're talking that's almost double what the majority of the consoles go for. Like normally you'll get a console for like $500. You know, sure, you'll have like iterations above that. So we're talking about double the price, because that's why I'm going off. I'm going off the $1,000 price tag, because that was the question. It's like in order for me to double the price that I would normally pay, I'm gonna have to see double the significant performance. Now you could see that, but to me, what are they going to do? They, you know, sure, you might get Fable running 60. I mean, I guess PlayStation, we'll talk about that. You might get Wolverine running at 60 frames, but it's not like they're going to do anything different with Wolverine that they can't do on the other console, because they want them running on both of the platforms. Now, you might get a better performance, but once again, unless I see things that's being done on the other platform or exclusive games, which they won't do, I don't feel like it's worth the headache. And I don't like mid-gen refreshes in general, because I feel like developers tend to, at the end of the development cycle, to not care about, oh, it runs good. PlayStation 5, it runs. Okay, we getting this across the finish line. Put that stamp of approval on it. Like I feel when these mid-gen refreshes come out towards the end of the generation, they only focus on the mid-gen refresh. They don't focus on the other one. I feel like that hurts the industry in general. And it's to the point where it's like, if as long as it runs on the past gen, then it's fine. And I don't like that mindset, because I played Gears 5. I was on the Series S and Smooth was on the Xbox One. And to me, the games run almost identical. But there were certain things that was only on the Xbox One version that just, it wasn't anything relevant to demand that kind of price increase. It was like there were rocks that weren't showing up on the Xbox One S that were showing up on the Xbox One X. The loading screens were different, and things like that's cool. But is that worth an extra $500? That because that's what we're really going on here. Like, you're asking for double the cost, and I don't see it.
No, I get your point.
That's a fair point. But I'll throw in here. What if you've got you've got your PlayStation Pro locking 1440p at 60, native 1440p at 60. It's running every game. To me, that's what these consoles that we've got now should be doing. But to me, I will pay that over going to. I mean, because you've got a PC, you've got a monster PC, and that's cool. But I don't have that PC, so for me to get that sort of performance, I'm going to have to spend upwards of $2,000 to $3,000 Australian anyway. For you guys, that'd be what, 1,500. So to me, it works out price wise to get the best experience. I'm spending a bit extra. It's probably a bit of a rip off, but I'm getting the better experience. I mean, Phase 23 Brooklyn with the 1999 super chat, he asked another question sort of related. He said, is a better question. GTA 6 runs best on PlayStation Pro. Where are you going to be buying GTA 6? I can tell you right now that game, any game I buy, unless it's if it's not available on the Series X, I buy it on the Xbox, man. If I can't get it on the Xbox and it's only on PlayStation, that's the only reason I buy anything to do with PlayStation. It's just where I prefer to play.
And I feel you. That's what I said. Like
a game as well as a console, if you want to play it on the PlayStation 5 Pro, that's a big investment for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's what I was saying. Like, if I was guaranteed that performance, like they guaranteed it, everything gonna run at 60, gonna be buttery smooth. I still think 1,000 is a little out of touch with the market. I think we might buy it if it guaranteed us that performance, but that's not good for the industry either. One, two. Like I said, $1,000, that's a lot. Like I don't even know if that's a realistic term that even the industry would even embrace. And on the second part, it's even though the first party, and I think if you're on Xbox, it's a lot easier for you to take that kind of leap because Microsoft's invested so much in the first party studios. So a lot of these studios will be taking advantage of it. But if you're on PlayStation, a PlayStation 5 Pro is like the most worthless thing ever. You're going to see improvement on one game a year, 2 tops. So it's just like you might see.
What I will say is if it does have RDNA 3, then it can run FSR 3.0, and all signs point to RDNA 2 not being able to run FSR 3.0 because it just takes too much power to do that. And everything we've seen so far of FSR 3.0 does look amazing. I mean, look what FSR 2.1 has been able to do for, say, Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. Looks beautiful, runs pretty damn good as well, especially for the size and scope of that game.
Yeah, I'll add to that. The thing is, I think the whole $1,000 price tag that we focused on, it's not realistic. So if anything, I would say, and I've seen rumors already that they're talking about the Pro might be $600, and that's $100 more than it was at launch.
That's fair. That's fair. But then again, $600. Once again, like, what price performance do we realistically expect with $100 increase?
Well, supposedly, I think they're talking about a 20% to 30% delta more. I would pay for that personally. I would pay for it for the Xbox too, actually, because I bought that One X, and I mean, but to be fair, the One X was a drastic improvement over the Xbox One. To be fair, but I had no problem buying that. And again, for the hardcore, we'll do that. I'll say this again, and I've said this many times before. You say like, yeah, but who's really going to buy that? The hardcore. It's a ton of hardcore PlayStation fans, and they absolutely are slaves to that corporation and will absolutely buy a Pro. That's not even a question in my mind that thing will sell out immediately and continuously sell out. I'm sorry to say it like that, but it's just the truth. And I say that as a point of positivity for PlayStation fans and as negative. They support PlayStation wholeheartedly. And and I think Sony will utilize it, to be fair. But I think that if you're presenting that to them and it's $600, that's not. I know a guy right now, Addict. You know him too, Riskit, and a few of you guys. Brian, my boy Brian. Brian has 4. He has 4, maybe more now. PS5s. Just has them for nothing. Just has them. He doesn't use them. He just has them in the house. People like that. And he's not alone. He's not the only type of gamer like that.
I would say that's extreme.
Absolutely eat that up. But a lot of them are extreme. That's my point.
And I feel you on that, but that doesn't represent the actual market. That represents a minority people that you first off got it like that, and second off are willing to spend the kind of money like that. And that's why the Series S is selling more than the Series X, because when you more people feel more going towards the smaller end. And once you go above that 500, then you really testing the market. That's the reason the majority of consoles never go that high in the market.
No, I agree. But you said that with the S, but what outsells the S and the X? The PlayStation 5. And it costs more than the S. So that doesn't work in the X PlayStation land. You see what I'm saying? It still outsells.
I feel you, but I think a lot of that is because a lot of the PlayStation they got a lot of the mainstream posts right now, and they go off anything they see on TikTok. They go off anything they see on YouTube. Like when it comes to certain things like Apple sells well. A lot of people don't even understand why Apple sells well. It's because they are a very well-known brand. It doesn't matter what they charge though, because they're a very well-known brand. And then you get your friends into it, and then you
just made my
cell
point.
phone companies into it.
It's because they're the best. That's why Apple is the best.
But you just made my point for me though, Addict. That's my entire point. PlayStation is the market leader for a reason. And all these things are TikTok. It's not TikTok brainwashing people to go and buy it. They buy it because it's considered the de facto console. PlayStation guys are going to buy it regardless, and they don't have to be super hardcore. They can be casuals. The casuals are going to flood to it.
I didn't know you was just referring to PlayStation. I thought you were referring to like the console market in general.
No, just PlayStation guys. That's why I was saying they're very specific when it comes to they're very hardcore. Even the casuals are hardcore. I mean, could have come up with a name for them. I don't know, casuals. Because they'll even buy. Thank you. They'll even. I'm here.
No, actually, I meant to press this one.
Too late. I'm taking the first one. But I say that because no matter what they put out, they tend to sell very well. That's an undeniable fact. It's not just hardcore buying them up and giving them record profits. It's casuals doing it too. Hell, people who don't even play games like that buy PlayStation. So I don't doubt that they would buy a Pro.
I would say
true, Umbra, but that's not at $1,000 price point. It has to make a difference.
Yeah, but I would say
the
again,
PlayStation 4 Pro when it came out.
It was $650. But yeah, I would say that that the hardcores have an effect on the casuals. Like there is an effect. They sort of do follow what we do. Again, I sort of sitting on the fence with this one. I'm sort of halfway there with you, Umbra, halfway there with you, Attic. Yeah, I mean it's a tough one. Blue, before we move on from this topic, do you think? I mean, we've had this conversation, so I already know what you think. But do you think it's worth $1,000 to maybe lock 1440p and get 60 FPS? You know, let's say both consoles come out with a Pro, lock 60, 1440p, and let's put the price tag at around 700. You buying that? I know you are.
I mean, I would, but again, we're all the extremes of the market, right? So. And honestly, $700, I don't think many people would balk at that too hard. But it's really hard to sell that when you're looking at Series S as being $150 right now, or even the X and the being $350, right? Like
that's an expensive potato, right?
Is it really that? Is it? It's quite an upgrade, right? It's double the price at that point. But it does make you wonder when you see these consoles all of a sudden dropping to such a very reasonable price if there isn't maybe something lurking around the corner.
Yeah. I mean, interesting. I mean, I know. Well, I would say I know. I think that there's a PlayStation Pro, and I think it's coming. I think Pete's going to have to give me his right knee, and he's going to have to give Umbra his left knee. But we'll see when it comes out. We'll see when it comes out.
I said, I'm happy to be wrong. I don't think Xbox had that in the plans at all, but. What will be interesting to see is what they do if PlayStation do pull the trigger on it. I mean, obviously there must be contingency plans that are in place that, you know, they would have a design of a Pro out there just in case, you know, PlayStation pulled the trigger on it. So that'll be more interesting for me to see.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to move on from the topic because we've been on this this non-topic. Thanks, Face 23 Brooklyn, for the topic. We had this non-topic for a little while. We'll move on. Before we do, guys, please hit the like button. If you're new here and you came in from Kings, we really appreciate all you guys. We appreciate everyone in the chat. Hit the subscribe button. We go live at 7 p.m. EST every Friday. Super chat Spartan661 with the $5 super chat. You're an absolute legend. Thanks, man. He says, I'm at the point of thinking that Jim retired before he got fired because he knew about factions and how Sony can't make a decent multiplayer game. I don't know if he's kidding, man. I don't think it was that bad. I think he did get kicked. I think because of the direction they took. I think it was too much of a hard pivot. Something that seems to happen in modern times is, when it comes to politics or when it comes to game, when it comes to anything, it seems to always be a hard pivot instead of just dipping the toe in. I think that would have been a smarter idea. Let's dip the toe in with Factions, continue doing what we do with our other studios and see how that goes. And if you got this result, you haven't lost much, right? You've only lost one game. But look at all the other gas games coming out. Is this going to happen with the other gas games? You know what I mean? There's no trust there for me when it comes to the gas lineup. Abdi with the Californian 279 super chat. He says, I think PS5 Pro will be $200 more than the base. Around about $700 makes sense, right? But I'm only asking from the $1,000 point of view, guys, because that's very much what Jason Ronald, that was his price point that he asked us. And so I think that he's, sort of thinking of, he's got a good idea of what it would cost and then what they would have to charge to sort of, at least break even. So, if they're taking a heavy loss, I think 700. If they want to break close to even or just under, then I think you're looking at about $1,000 for your next console, even if it's just your next console. Should be interesting to see what happens in the console market. Next, we got to talk about this whole.
Just to throw one little thing out there, Jeff Grubb, I believe, goes on record recently saying that he thinks that is also going to be possibly an Xbox. He's not sure he's not certain yet if it'll be just an Xbox Next, such as that rounded, the rounded one we saw without the disk drive, or if they might change plans since the court documents that we got privy to see. And actually giving us a pro version, so we don't know for sure just yet.
Pretty much what I was thinking. Yeah, like they must have got wind of something in the background. If PlayStation, they watch each other very, very closely, and I wonder how much inside information they have if they know PlayStation are making.
Oh, they would know what's going.
Have to pivot.
They know what's going on inside each other's studios. And it just goes to the next topic, which came out, court documents. Arcane Leon was supposedly supposed to be working on the next Dishonored 3, but they're not. They're working on Blade. And so you sort of makes you wonder, right? Were those court documents doctored? Some of that information doctored and uploaded. Obviously things pivot and they might have just changed, but this could have been one of the greatest throw-offs we've ever seen. But that remains to be seen. If everything changes in that roadmap in the next 5 years, I'm going to say that Microsoft did that on purpose and shout out to them. Absolute, if they haven't, well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But obviously Blade got announced at the Game Awards, and what I've seen back and forth all across the internet that's sort of bothered me, I've made a video about it, put it on Twitter, that sort of annoyed me is the lack of branding. And we've had some really strange stuff happen around the launch of this Blade. And this, we give PlayStation the smoke, or I got to give Xbox the smoke when I think they deserve it. And I think they deserve it for this release. This lack of sort of communication, whilst they're not really communicating, they omitted some things that raises the conversation in the community. It's not a conversation that Xbox should be allowing to be had. I know it's exclusive. I know that this game is exclusive. But the community is having that conversation. Now, it's great. We've had this conversation last week and we'll have it again, but it's any marketing is good marketing, right? Any publicity is good publicity. That's not always the case. We're having negative conversations about, why is Xbox's marketing so I wouldn't say poor, but why is it all over the place? Why can it not be easily understood? Why was there no branding? Why did Bethesda not want to brand Xbox at the end of their game? Greeny uploaded a profile picture with Blade with the Xbox on his glasses, and he deleted it a couple of days later. What is going on in the background? We've had a fake PlayStation video uploaded. It raises the question out there in the Twitterverse: is this game coming to PlayStation? Now, if it is, just announce that, and if it's not, just announce that. Why the ambiguity? This is what bothers me. Fly Guy, you've probably seen the discourse around this on Twitter and what's been going on. Bethesda declined to comment on this. They didn't want to talk about it. And again, what really bothers me is Xbox has not mandated that their logo is put on that trailer, and Bethesda has not made that decision to put it on their trailer. So, this sort of says to me that there might be a little bit of back and forth inside the two. We've seen what went on with Pete Hines, and then he left, right? So there might be a little bit of negative discourse in the background there. What do you think's going on with this? You think it's just business as usual and no big deal, or you think this is something that Xbox needs to sort of clean up going forward?
I definitely think Xbox needs to clean this up sooner rather than later. However, I think it would also be in Xbox's best interest to wait until all of this FTC stuff is kind of rectified, because maybe that's what's holding Bethesda up of announcing something. I don't know, but it's quite possible, because FTC is still coming after Xbox for this Activision Blizzard deal. So
yeah, I mean, there's a lot there though, right? Because I mean, did they mandate that Bethesda not put that logo on? I mean, that could have happened as well when you look at it from that perspective, is that maybe they're being cagey around the FTC. But then again, why would you announce, what they've announced, some of these bigger games, and then maybe they get pulled into court? That's gonna be a question. So I mean, PixelBG, I hear you, man. I see you in the chat, and Fly, I hear you as well. But if that gets pulled back into court, that question's going to come up: is Blade exclusive? And they're going to try to use that. And Xbox can't lie, so hiding it from the outset it's just poor messaging, in my opinion. Addict, what do you think? This is poor messaging, or you think this is just a bit of hyperbole, not a big deal?
I do think it's exclusive, but I understand the perspective. It's like the FTC, and maybe there is some kind of like not bad blood, but like a little bit of rebellion stuff going on with Bethesda. And it's like, we've seen situations where there has been a little bit of back and forth between Microsoft and Bethesda. I remember there was a little bit of like disagreement on how one of the E3 should have handled. So it's just like, sometimes you just got to step in and be like, look, like, we like to give you guys control, but this is one of those things where it's like, you wanting it this way, not necessarily because it's bad PR, but very confusing PR. And we got to step in here. Like, we can't have this go on. And if it's the FTC thing, it's like, then hold on to the Blade thing until you could say that it's yours. Cause to me, it's like, you're literally going out there, you're putting probably one of the best announcements you've had in quite a bit. And then you're like, oh, who's it coming for? We don't know. Oh, who do we talk to? Bethesda, is it exclusive? We're not commenting on that. Okay, then let's talk Disney. Well, Disney, what is it exclusive? Ask Bethesda. Like, it's just, if it's exclusive, it's exclusive. If it's not, it's not. Like, I just don't understand. It's like I said, I get the logic behind some of the excuses, but at the same time, if it's Bethesda not wanting to do it, this is one of those times where I feel like Microsoft needs to step in. And if it's the FTC, you should have just held that announcement, because no one's talking about Blade being made out of Arcane. The majority of people are talking about whether or not this game's exclusive. And I feel like this is kind of Microsoft's fault, because they've been so inconsistent with whether or not something's exclusive. One of the reasons that PlayStation doesn't really get a lot of pushback is because it's just mainly, besides the Bungie thing, it's just how they roll. These are ours. If I buy this, it's mine. But Microsoft, between the Activision thing, because I don't know, maybe you guys disagree, but I feel like after the Bethesda thing, when ABK was first bought, I remember seeing a lot of people, even PlayStation people, it's like, well, great, now Call of Duty's exclusive. Like, I do remember specifically people automatically assuming ABK was exclusive because of the expectations that they set when they bought Bethesda. When Phil said, this is about making value to our platform. So people assumed, but then when Microsoft goes on there and says, well, maybe not this one. I don't blame people for, seeing Blade, seeing that they don't want to put their brand on it, and people assuming it might be a multi-plat. I do feel like if you keep up with the industry and you have the beat of the industry, you keeping your head down, you're paying attention, this isn't abnormal behavior for Microsoft. We found out because of Indiana Jones, because of the FTC court case. And they've never officially came out and said that's a multi-plat. I mean, that's an exclusive either. So I would say you could take that same logic to Blade. There, for some reason, especially licensed IP, Xbox refuses to put their logo on it, especially Bethesda licensed IPs. So I mean, there's a variety of reasons that this could happen. Will we ever find out the reason why, like 100%? Probably not, unless like Jason Schreier makes an article about it. I do think it is going to be an exclusive at the end of the day.
Do you think
Mhm.
it's Addict on that point? Sorry, Pete. I was going to ask. Do you think though, Addict, it's a point because of, and maybe they've corrected it now because now we know that the hierarchy is Booty actually has say directly over them. There's no ambiguity there now, right? Do you think it was because they had a bit of anonymity and I guess freedom in how they approached things before, kind of like how Bungie had before this whole situation started to put them in jeopardy, and that they were trying to figure out if they wanted to do their own thing and figure that out beyond being now owned by Microsoft? Or do you think it was just poor communication all around inside of Microsoft?
I do think there is some form of Bethesda that is responsible for this. I don't know if it's like, because it feels like sometimes Microsoft will step over the line and say, we get what you want, but that can't happen. It doesn't seem like they do that very often. But remember Starfield, they refused to come out openly admitted that was exclusive. It took forever to find that out. It's like I said, we still haven't been told Indiana Jones. And I feel like it's in the middle. I feel like there's some reasons that Microsoft don't want to do it. And I think those reasons, like Microsoft's okay, they want to announce Blade. They don't want to put our name on it. We got this FTC thing going on. Do we really need our name on it? So maybe we'll just meet in the middle ground and just let them do it. But at the same time, if you're not going, you bought them for a lot of money. So to me, Xbox has to be considered for these situations, regardless what Bethesda wants, because they're supposed to be the front runner for Xbox. So I do feel like maybe with Matt Booty over the whole thing, however they did that restructuring, maybe that will change. Maybe PR in general at Microsoft needs a little bit of changing up, because there is with the CFO statements. So there's clearly some form of PR needs to step in and get a better handle on all the situations.
Oh, I think their marketing team needs to get some teeth about them. I think they need to think about what's going to happen with the community when they make these announcements. It doesn't, I could have told, if they just sat down and said, listen, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do this, we're going to do this, and then we're not going to show the logo. I'm going to be like, that's a bad idea. It's a very bad idea, because what's going to happen is this. Exactly what's happened. Like, you could see this out from, if you were doing this, if you were operating this company, you can see this happening. Like, so this is why a lot of people are saying, oh, maybe they're doing it on purpose. Any publicity is good publicity, but that's not right, man. Because
that's not it.
Yeah, this is a just something that Xbox is poor at. They're bad at keeping their messaging consistent or making it clear. They like to keep that water muddy, and that's just, to me, that's not a good thing. If you're a prospective console buyer and you just don't know where this thing is going, and then you've gone into all of us have gone into physical stores and talked to these people who really don't know what the fuck's going on, let's be honest, and then someone goes, oh man, is Blade coming to PlayStation? The dude's like, yeah, I think so. I'm pretty sure I saw a trailer on the PlayStation channel. I think it's coming. He's like, cool, well, I get a PlayStation. Like, this is not a good thing to continue with. I think they need to step in. I completely agree with everything you're saying, Addict. Blue, what do you think? Do you think, one, do you think this game's going to be exclusive? And two, do you think there's a bit of back and forth going on inside the company with Bethesda and Xbox, or do you think this is Xbox mandated? Or if that's not the case, do you think Xbox needs to start taking a little bit more control over Bethesda? Like Addict said, they paid a lot of money for that publisher, for those studios. They should expect something, at least a logo in return, right? What are your thoughts?
I think it is exclusive. What I do think is that it's unfortunate that Xbox has this ambiguity around their games and what's coming up. And we live in this narrative where anything announced by PlayStation is assumed an automatic a Sony exclusive and not even PC, right? Like, that's just, it's understood. And I think if Xbox wants to play the exclusive game, which it seems like they are all in on that they need to push that same narrative and make it understood that this is not something that you question. It's just the way things are, because the platforms, while super important, Game Pass is incredible and does a lot. We all know that exclusives are sort of a super important part of what drives people to one platform or another. So letting ambiguity stand around whether a game is going to go multi-plat or not is not really the best for Xbox marketing. What I do appreciate though is that Xbox has been really good about letting these studios that they've acquired kind of do their thing, not being heavy overlords, right? It can go both ways, of course, right? And Bethesda is such a well-regarded studio and just publisher and everything, right? That they have has a lot of endearment around it. It has a lot of notoriety. So it is nice to leave Bethesda to, sort of be their own entity under this Microsoft umbrella. But I do think there needs to be sort of a come to Jesus moment between the two companies about where they're all headed. Clearly, like Attic said, right? We saw those court documents where...
Would Phil Spencer be Jesus? Sorry.
I'm going to ignore you on that one. And like, we do know, right, that Pete Hines had some issues, right? When they were like, why can't we be on platforms? So we know maybe that Bethesda doesn't necessarily always love the idea of being exclusive. They want more people to play their games. But they were also bought by Xbox and they agreed to it. So there needs to be a meeting of the minds on that. And that's not just, them, but everybody that they acquire and have a clear understanding of what's moving forward, and then communicate to people what is happening and be clear about it. I just don't, I just don't understand. I always feel like, well, there's another flub. But then, like, I've seen a lot of people saying this week, and it's true, right? Like, that maybe they're doing this on purpose to drive engagement, which is extremely clever and dastardly, right? It's like, and think about it. Like, what have you heard more about in the last week? GTA 6 or whether Blade's exclusive? And what Blade is, right? I think that says a lot for what's happening in the Xbox ecosystem and sort of the engagement around Microsoft and Xbox. I think it's a pretty big deal that, people are talking about Blade more than GTA. And of course, GTA is way bigger and, it's just its own snowball of its own. But I do find that really interesting, right? That those two are competing for the same level of engagement.
And it's a fair comment to make. It is a fair comment to make, because when you think about it, then they're out of the selling consoles market. That's not what they're trying to drive, right? They're trying to drive Gamepass subscriptions, and let's be fair, right? You don't sign up to Netflix for The Witcher, 6 months out or 2 years out, right? And then I guess if you want to stay in the conversation, this is a way to do it. But to me, it's just poor messaging. And I, as a consumer, as an owner of 2 Xboxes, 3 Xboxes, 4 Xboxes. Yes, I've got 4. As an owner of 4 Xboxes, I want to know if that's going to be. I just want to know if it's going to be exclusive, so I can move on to another conversation. Like, how good was that art? Like how, what is this game going to be? I mean, if you look at Arcane's pedigree and their history, and then you look at games like Dishonored 2. Like I played a little bit of Dishonored 2, not a lot. I didn't really get into it, but I've watched.
You're wrong for that.
Yeah, well, I've watched some of the videos of people playing it, man. I think that's going into my backlog now, because I was like, man, that is a cool looking game. Yeah, they seem to be the right. I made a post on Twitter. They're the right studio for this game.
Don't you think they are? Well, Arcane's my favorite studio, so I'm super biased. But don't you think that it is interesting? Like some of this that's happening is really like, okay, let's see how much the PlayStation guys are actually interested in Blade. Right? Like, it's sort of that copium, right, that we saw with Starfield and people asking for it to be on PlayStation and it wasn't. And then we heard about quite a few people actually going to buy an Xbox, right, because of Starfield. And I think Blade is on that level, right?
Mhm.
It's a huge Marvel IP and it's massive. And I think, to me, what I've heard and seen, I feel like it's a bigger deal than Indiana Jones. So it is also interesting, right, to leave that in ambiguity and see what happens in the gaming community on a whole.
So they can see them coping and seething. Sorry. Sorry, jumping to Pete. Pete, what's your that doesn't open the floor for singing, by the way, Umbra. I'm just making that as clear
Oh
as...
no, it's too. You already made your bed. It's too late.
Where's that mute button? I've got a physical mute button now, so this makes things a lot easier. Pete, what do you think? You think all this ambiguity, this is a marketing ploy from Xbox? You think it's planned? You think it's got to do with the FTC? You think it's infighting with Bethesda and Xbox? You think it's mandated by Xbox? There's a lot around this. There's a lot of different angles you can look at this from and come at it from. And it could be. I find it hard to sort of sit on one and say it's this pause. I know what I did. Sit on one and decide like this is definitely the thing that's going on in the background. I mean, we just don't know, and we're very unlikely to. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, this is a difficult one because I would just prefer if they just came straight out and said that it's an exclusive. But I was speaking to Hargeet yesterday with Colton, a couple of other people, and Hargeet went back and watched a lot of Bethesda's trailers, and they don't have any bannering on any of their old trailers. So this has history for them. This is something that they have done before. Now, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, and things have changed since then. They have since been bought by Xbox. Xbox paid a hell of a lot of money to buy them. So, should it be different now? Should Xbox have, the ability to have their bannering on them because, they are owned by them? I would have thought so. I would have thought that to get rid of all this ambiguity, just put Xbox's logo on there. At the end of the day, they're the ones that are paying for the game to being made. They're the ones that paid for the Blade licensing. They're the ones that are paying, your bills. So they should get something back for that.
Damn straight.
Now, Ollie made a great point. Is this ambiguity working in their favor? And she brought up something that I didn't even think of. GTA 6 got announced a week ago. In all honesty, everything should be about that game. But if you look online and if you look on the talk, a lot of the talk is about Blade and whether or not it's going to be exclusive. And there is an old saying that no publicity is bad publicity. So, I don't know. Maybe Microsoft are playing 4D chess and they're just smarter than all of us.
Yeah, and that definitely could be the case. Spartan661 with the 199 super chat says the FTC needs to beat on Sony's ass and not Microsoft. Yeah, and I think they are. I think you're seeing a lot of the regulators around the world start to take notice of these, digital stores that are being monopolized by PlayStation. And there is a big difference because Xbox does allow their games to be sold digitally elsewhere other than their own store. So, I mean, look, that's happening. I think PlayStation to some degree during the FTC trials sort of told on itself. Which is stupid. Could have something to do with why Jim Ryan's leaving. But we got to move on to the next topic. Before we do, please hit the like button, guys. We go live at 7 p.m. EST every Friday. And if you're new here, subscribe. I hope you're enjoying yourself. Anyway, we're going to move on to some more Xbox smoke. And this is something that I wanted to point out because we've got quite a few friends throughout the community. And not every friend we have is in the same financial demographic as I find myself lucky enough to be in. And that is not a low-key, talking myself up or anything, but that's just, I'm lucky enough to be in a demographic where I can afford to get toys, get games, get, whatever it is that I want to get. Not everyone's that fortunate. And Xbox has always had a bit of an olive branch out to those people that can't quite afford, to buy every new brand new game that's coming. And they do that. We're doing that with Xbox Rewards. that's something that I just want to talk about briefly. And if one of the panel wants to jump in on this one, yes, guys, jump in. But it's been a little bit disappointing lately to see them start to roll back some of the accessibility to the rewards. For instance, the Edge browser that earns you 3 points. I think it's for every search, and you get a certain amount, and you get bonus points for getting a certain amount of searches. They've rolled that back to you can only do 3 searches every 15 minutes. Which would extend your timeline out to like over the course of a week. You would have to rack up those points. Other things where they've taken away.
Hey, real quick, Riskit. I'm having like surges and stuff. I'm gonna have to bounce out of here. I really appreciate the invite. I don't want my computer being on if I get a surge. Like,
no, good, man. Well, thanks for coming through, bro. We really appreciate you coming to the thing. Let people know where they can find you, what you're up to, and when your next show's up. And you'll be able to find Addict down in the description after the show.
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube at Gaming Addict. You can find me on Iron Lords podcast every Sunday at 1 p.m. We're taking a couple weeks off. People in the chat, man, hit the like button. Hit the like button. I see 110 people in here, and there's 57 likes. Well, I might need to refresh the page. It's probably up by now. But hit that like button, guys. I'm gonna watch you. I'm gonna watch you guys. I'm gonna make sure that light goes up on my phone. I appreciate the invite, Riskit. You guys have a good day.
Cheers, cheers,
too,
Addict.
man.
Legend, man.
Yeah, you too, brother. Thanks for coming through.
Yeah, so look, it's good to have him on the show. He's a good guy, man. Spent some time with him over in FanFest. He's a good man, very, very good man. What you see is what you get. He is like he is in real life. But jumping back to this Xbox rewards, I just wanted to call this out. I think it's a lack of communication. If you're going to roll it back, I understand. You're going to make these business decisions, and that's fine. But there's been absolutely no communication around this. You boot up your rewards app, and then something's gone, something's been ripped away. People don't respond well to that. I don't really appreciate it. Look, Fly Guy, I don't know if you have much to do rewards. If you're in there, making sure you get your points every day. It's something I used to do because I had the time. I don't now, but I know a lot of people are upset about this. I just wanted to call it out, sort of publicly, and. Yeah, what are your thoughts? You think it's a little bit of an egregious lack of communication again from Xbox?
Yeah, actually I've used my rewards not too much, but like I've gotten like gift cards from like doing whatever things I had to do on there. So I do like the program, but I don't like the fact that it's not very clear as to what changes that they are making. Based on the article that that we were linked and whatnot, it's it says that a lot. Well, some people said they haven't seen it in the U.S. and the UK yet, but it's been in other parts of the world. So like I don't know. It would be nice to actually know what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean that is my point here is that I get it. You've got to change things. You've just bought ABK. Maybe you got to tighten your belt. I'd rather see rewards get rolled back than people lose their jobs. Absolutely, every day of the week. But I'd also like to know what's coming. What are they deactivating? What are they bringing in? What's the implementation? Just a bit of PR on this would be good. Pete, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, this is a great conversation. This is a great conversation to start happening because I haven't seen anything about it out there at all. And we need to call out Xbox when they start making mistakes. Now, I think the rewards program is just the benefit of being on Xbox. I've got, 430,000 points. So I haven't used them. I know how much money that is. Like, I know I can get a whole lot of gift vouchers, but I just don't really need to use them, so I don't use them. But I don't like how there's just been no talk about it by Microsoft at all. They've been pulling back on these rewards and they're just not talking about it at all. And we as the community need to start pushing back when they do things like this because there are people in the community that really rely on these reward points to help out and get them to, buy games. And I would have thought if they got a few points to buy a game, then, that's going to mean more time, more people playing on Xbox, more good word of mouth about this whole program. So I would have thought it would have paid for itself. So this whole situation just rubs me the wrong way. And I hope as a community, we can start calling it out and get that word out there. And
So what
that's
was
all I have to say.
So what was the main question on that, Pete? Because I had
Damn, I
Slightly
was
stepped away.
muted. Yeah, I was
so
just saying that it's the Xbox consoles are actually releasing a message to players saying that the Xbox Rewards app is coming to a close on the actual Xbox, and that hasn't rolled out in Australia yet. But I mean, this is something that you would expect them to communicate, globally. That hey, we're looking at doing this, and this is going to be our next steps, and this is what we do instead, or we're just shutting it down, or something. At the very least, a Twitter post. We haven't had anything. So, Umbra, I don't know if you really use your rewards a hell of a lot. I imagine that you do, because I know you don't like those $70 games. So, what do you think? They're going to if they're going to pull this this rewards app, then where do you go from here? Where's the communication? Is really my point.
I think it's a lack of communication, just because it's probably people getting up in arms sooner than they need to. I think Microsoft has shown that they handle things much more pro-consumer than many other companies are willing to, and they can afford to. So I don't think it's going away. I think they're retooling it right now, and I absolutely use my points a lot. Actually, I used it recently. There's a sale going on right now. Family in the chat, if you guys don't know, and I picked up at least 6 or 7 games, and I had about $50 worth of reward points that I cashed in to use it. So it's definitely well worth it. I don't think they're going to get rid of that. They're still using it, obviously, for their ad share, what they use for Bing and stuff like that. I think it'll stay around. I think they're just trying to minimize how much we get from it. You know what I mean? And so we won't instantly just benefit like we've been doing.
I get that, Umbra, but shouldn't they tell us that they're doing that? I mean, I think it was Grey Moan, had pointed in the chat that from searches, he used to get 300 points a day. That's gone all the way down to 36. That's a massive decrease in your ability to earn rewards. And there's been no communication about it whatsoever.
Yeah, and that's my point. I think that they're purposely trying to retool things, right? So I think if you look at it, 300 points from doing searches, it's a lot. I think the problem is we've been spoiled. Being honest, we've been spoiled. Because, I mean, you could jump on there, do this little search, do it on your Xbox, a different little search or whatever, and do the little, oh, look at this game inside the store, get 5 points easily. Like, all of that is super easy. You know what I mean? Do this inside the game, you'll get 50 points. All of this stuff. So they're finding ways to give us, they've been doing it for so long that I think we've taken that for granted to think, oh, this is how it all should be. We just get all this poured into us free, right? And I love free. I love, we all do. So I think it's just that they're retooling.
Talk to me right now about how free things. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
If you guys didn't know, Riskit got a roadcaster, so
he just ruined it.
Moron with it.
Pete just ruined it. I was about to lay it down thick, and Pete just came in.
What'd you say?
Australian bogan voice and ruined it all.
What?
I was about to lay it on. It was about to be some panties thrown my way from the people in the chat. I don't know. Well, men, keep your underwear on. Don't throw your drawers at me. Your boxers. I don't want them. But no, I think it's just a factor that they're retooling it. And because Microsoft has been pretty good at being transparent and being communicative. So this is right here is kind of Ace out. You'll be the first one throwing your drawers up here. Don't even try it. Talking about gross. Don't front. Don't front, Ace out. I know. But I'm just asking you don't leave any pathways in the back area. You know what I mean? I don't need to start tracing that to
Damn.
Let me stop.
What is going on right now?
I'm just messing Ace out. No, but seriously, I think it's just a matter of, one, we're spoiled. Let's just be clear, because 300 points just from searching, Pete, that's excessive to give us that much for just for searching. Yeah, we're
not saying that
we're spoiled, and I think it's just them retooling it. That's all. Yeah.
I did say that I don't mind. I think it's been a benefit, and they don't need to do it. It's been something to reward people that are there, but the lack of communication around it is what I find the main concern, and the lack of talk about it within the community itself, and the lack of pushback against it. I remember when they were going to increase the game I think it was
Gold.
games with gold. They were going to double the price of it. Within 24 hours, that was retracted because the community were up in arms. And I think if we got that kind of pushback again, we can influence their decision and get them to change their processes. But there just hasn't been, any word whatsoever about it. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I think I think that kind of speaks to it, right? Like for us, we cashing in. You, by the way, have more than enough to spread to everybody inside the chat as far as your points you have. So, but I think it's just
it's crazy, huh?
it is, but it's a beautiful thing, and I think that's the reason why some of us are like, hey, now what's up with this reward thing? Because we have used it to our benefit. I have bought so many games using rewards or gold or buying Xbox Live, should I say Game Pass and stuff. All of us have done that. If you've really been on this, you could absolutely pay for your Game Pass just using Microsoft Rewards points. It's easy to do, and I think as a company,
Well, you could in the past. I don't believe you can anymore.
Well,
No,
that's
you
what I'm
can't
saying.
anymore.
And I think that's why they're retooling it, because they don't want you to just be able to do that. And I wouldn't want that either if I'm a company and I'm dependent on getting cash from people, and I'm basically paying for their service myself. You see what I mean? So I think it's a bit of it, just being realistic. I think it's a bit of them trying to retool it to their benefit, possibly. And once they get that nailed down, they'll make it an official address to what the situation is. That's the way I'm looking at it.
Yeah, well, look, absolutely. But I mean, like, just a short release of like, hey, this is what's going on. This is the thing. We're going to change it. We don't know what to yet. I mean, just a little bit of like a Twitter post, something. I think this has just been a bit unfair that they've just gone and completely changed things without. It is their right to do so. Don't get me wrong. Is their right to do so? But I think it's not egregious. It's not horrifically bad. I just think it's something that we need to call out and say, hey, Xbox, hey, communicate this with us. Let us know what you're doing. Tell us, tell the guys who do rely on it, because some people do. What's going on. Blue, you've seen this. I know you use your rewards. What are your thoughts on the lack of communication around?
I do use my rewards a lot. I mean, everything that Pete Umbra said is 100% kind of where I'm at, but it's almost like look, we know, right, that Microsoft has a lot more engagement and has more people in the ecosystem now, and that by proxy, a lot of people don't bother with this kind of stuff, but when you add more people, you're going to have more usage of these. And so I think they're just trying to figure out how to keep their budget on this in check. It is unfortunate though, because like you said, there are a lot of people who spend a good amount of time every day, right, trying to make sure that they maximize the potential on this. And I know people who pay for their Game Pass subscription every month just with their rewards. They just have it auto unlocked and paid for through that, which is wonderful, right? But it almost seems like they should maybe consider taking some of these people who are the highest engagers in this and maybe putting them in the insider program or some other kind of program where it allows them like to interact with Microsoft through their surveys or through some of these other things where they give feedback that helps them with the company and then also provides them with some additional points in consideration for that.
That's a really clever idea.
It is.
I like that.
I mean,
think
it's like, go ahead.
No. I like that. This is great. That's a fantastic idea. That's a solution to the problem. It's helping out people who are having a hard time, grabbing every big first party. And let's be honest, a lot of us have had our hip pockets hit this year because there's been so many good games. I think that's a great idea. Yeah. I mean, and just to your point as well, yeah. I mean, Xbox's MUAs, which if you don't know what that is monthly active users. MAUs increased by 30 million 2023, while PlayStations are down, I think to the tune of, I did just count that on my hands, 5 million. So that's that is a big jump for Xbox.
Segue, bro.
It is a big jump for Xbox's users. I mean, and maybe some of the users are starting to get onto Microsoft Rewards and they want to maximize, their profits by cutting it back, and that's cool. Let's just have some communication. Look, we'll move on to the next topic. Before we do, please hit that like button if you haven't already, guys. I really appreciate every single one of you in the chat. You guys have been amazing. That chat's been popping off today. I'm in my work setup, so it's a lot harder for me to sort of look. Got to crane my neck around and get away from the mic and stuff, but really appreciate every single one of you sticking around. So please hit the like button. If you are new, please hit the subscribe button. We go live 7 p.m. EST every Friday. Jumping on to the next topic. Look, we've got a few and we don't have time for all. So, and I want to talk about every single one because Insomniac got hacked the day before dropped. Former PlayStation executive says, we'll talk about that because this is big for Xbox, I think. Very, very big. So they brought across a former PlayStation executive, and she works predominantly in the Japanese market. And she was talking very candidly in an interview saying that Japanese publishers will definitely need Xbox in expanding their business. Said it would be difficult to do that with just PlayStation. And she seems to be making some headway, and she's speaking to a lot of different Japanese studios and publishers. I think this is a very big move for Xbox. They've traditionally been, what's the word for it? Abysmal in the region. They've sort of struggled over there, and we've seen them make a little bit of headway in the last few years. And just with Square Enix and making some steps forward. I don't think they're all the way yet. So this only bodes well for those types of consumers. I personally, which is why I generally avoid these topics, but I think this is very big for Xboxes, is I'm not massive into a lot of the Japanese games. They just don't do it for me. I guess I'm a dude bro, call me what you want. But for Xbox to bring across and globalize their business, because let's be honest, I mean, they are a global business, but they haven't really done a lot to globalize their business. They're predominantly, within the Western countries, and not even Europe. They're not very big in Europe yet either. So there's a lot of work for them to do, and it's good to see them doing that work. Fly Guy, you into your Japanese type games? Is this good for you personally? And are you looking forward to getting a lot of these Japanese publishers coming over to Xbox?
To be completely and utterly honest with you, I'm not really big into to Japanese games myself. However, like some of the, for example, Sega's kind of making a big comeback right now when it comes to their games. I feel like a lot of those games could end up being on Game Pass, and if they are on Game Pass, that's just more people that have access to these games without having to pay full price per game. So I think it being, her being hired to be specific, to specifically be over the Japanese region, I feel like depending on what games that we do get, I think it could be great.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, and don't get me wrong, there has been, I mean, I agree with you. I'm not massive into my Japanese JRPGs, all that sort of stuff. But there has been some that I played that have been absolutely amazing that I have loved. And you never know what you're going to get out of a region. Just because they're in a specific region doesn't mean they're going to make a specific sort of game. So this could end up being personally fantastic for me. And I mean, it's a selfish industry. I want games for me. So I've never, but when you look at things from a business perspective, if Xbox grows its business, grows its diversity, that's only going to be good for me. Umbra, I know you're into a lot of these JRPGs and these big Japanese games. So obviously this bodes well for you. You'd be pretty excited about this, I imagine.
Oh yeah, I'm into the Japanese games. Yeah. Colt Eastwood, you're just in time. We call this the Umbra corner. Oh, Pete, you ruined it again.
I ruined it again. I think I just made it better.
He jumped in with that bogan voice and immediately ruined it. What is going on here today? I don't know. Damn it, Pete. Pete, no.
I got to get that one on the button. I got to get that one on the button.
No, as far as that goes, shout out to Colt, by the way, seriously. But no, as far as that goes, absolutely, man. I love it. I love a diverse. The thing I love in general is the diversity that Xbox is pushing for, and so something like that absolutely calls to me. It's a definite plus and it's a definite boon to us. Now, everybody's not going to like it. It is what it is. Most of you guys don't care for it. I have a much more refined taste than you all. It is what it is. Not, you know what I mean? It's, not all of you can have what I have. All love. All love. It's no hate, no shade. but it's just the truth. You know what I mean, Holly? So
Mhm.
it is what it is. I just think that things like that is what help separate Xbox and PlayStation for so long. So getting that and cutting that out, I'm all for that. You know what I mean? It's just something that adds an extra layer of why you should have an Xbox. So that's a beautiful thing for me. Absolutely. Absolutely in support of that. Yeah, you know.
And if they're selling more consoles, they're bringing more people into the ecosystem. You know, this sort of evens up the playing field, which is where I think Xbox, you know, gets hit with a lot of negative press and all the negative things that sort of seem to happen around Xbox. I think that sort of starts to go away once you get a bit more global, a bit more of the Japanese market or even that Eastern market. And then, you know, that starts to go away. You start to get more diversity. People start to buy into the ecosystem, you know, and then that can only be positive unless you get a Don Matrix, and then he just absolutely the whole generation, right?
We don't want that. But yeah, but going to your point there, getting that, you know, on top of the diversity we get, it leads to a more, I think it could lead to more parity. And that's part of the issue is the reason why PlayStation has such a market share lead is because the thought, or not, sometimes that's not the thought, the actuality of it is that they have games we can't get here. So let's cut that part out and get everything they get. That's the way I look at it. It only helps us in the long run because more money brought to the console means there's more money being spent on things that will bring games to Game Pass, for instance, or funding games, first party, whatever it may be. So I'm all for that.
And Xbox needs to be has been the platform that developers can just skip over, and more it's becoming a platform that they don't want to skip over, which is fantastic for consumers. I mean, a lot of Final Fantasy fans missed out if you're on Xbox and that was the only console that you had. And whilst it's not my kind of game, I know a lot of people love that game, and that's not cool. So Pete, only positive for Xbox. This is a very, very good thing. I think we're going to see a sort of an explosion of Japanese games probably in the next few years. So, Pete, I know you love Japanese games.
Satu Kato put it. I mean, look, there is a limited amount of game growth that you can have if you're only selling on PlayStation. I think a great example of that is what happened with Final Fantasy and Square Enix. And we just saw Phil Spencer come out on stage, on the Square Enix stage. That was a massive thing. And the way Japanese business is done is through personal interactions and, knowing people. So her having already a foothold within that industry, knowing people, through her PlayStation days is really, really going to help. So kudos to Xbox to reaching out to the Japanese market. Yeah, they're not my type of games. I typically don't play them, but I know a lot of people in the community love them. So when we were watching FanFest, I was watching with Bushido and Vinny and Steph and these type of guys that do love Japanese games. And so, yeah, really couldn't be happier. And the more diversity we get in games, the better.
Terrible people. They're all terrible people that you just mentioned.
I can concur. Yes, concur.
Look, Holly, I want to go to you. It's Holly as well, because this is the thing. This would be very good for you because I know you like you're into your indies. I don't mind a few indies as well, but you probably into indies, I would say, a bit more than me. And you get a lot of fantastic indies coming out of there. So, Holly, what are your thoughts on this move from Xbox to bring over a PlayStation executive and sort of bring the Japanese market into the fold?
Yeah, I do very much love my indies. I am not much of a Japanese style games. I think Umbra's our only true rep here, but that's okay. The fun thing is that Xbox is doing this secret heavy push in the Asian market, which I think is pretty awesome, right? Because finally they got their foot in the door at Square, which is huge, right, for them. And moving forward, it seems like maybe they're going to be an equal player in a lot of the games that Square comes out with. And so I think they are this plus that and a few other things that have happened in the last year or two. Xbox has a lot of fish in the pan that they're working on, right, with Activision, and then the free xCloud that might be coming, which was teased a little bit, and then the Japanese market, they're really trying to make themselves the megacorp of options for the community, which is fantastic. I just hope that they keep still the,
Hang on a
the
minute.
love and engagement.
Did you just say Megacorp? Sorry, my bad. Yeah, keep going.
The soundboard thing is going to be a long joke. But I just really, again, like, wow, it makes me nervous, especially since we just talked about the rewards program too, right? That Xbox has such a positive, wonderful engagement with their community in as many ways as they can. And I always just get a little nervous about when companies get this big, or when their community gets that big, that they tend to pull away from that stuff.
No, their
And-
community is big. Sorry.
Oh gosh, here it goes again. Make it stop.
That was so bad.
But anyway, I think it's awesome. And you know, I prefer my Western games, but I also prefer for Xbox to be all inclusive for everybody who likes those games as well.
Yeah, I mean,
And
absolutely.
the
like those
indies.
Japanese games, a little bit strange. Umbra, case in point.
They are absolutely true. But
No,
no,
wait.
but
Nobody running to my defense. What's going on here?
Crickets.
Did you say crickets?
I
My
did.
bad. I need to get a tomato sound, a tomato hitting someone in the face sound. I might soundboard that with my son, get him to throw tomatoes at me for a couple hours till we get the perfect one. But yeah,
I'm
look,
sure he'd happily volunteer for that.
Yeah, I was going to say, can I join in, bro? That sounds like a hell of a lot of fun.
You're gonna have
He
a brick
actually-
loaded inside the tomato, throwing it at you.
I think he'd be afraid that I get angry and slap him upside the head. But anyway, look, it is a good thing. It's not for me, but to see the ecosystem growing across the planet, I'd like him to start hitting it. You know, not just the Japanese market. I'd like to see him more hit the East market. You know, Korean, which they are. You know, China, all across there. There's a lot of really interesting, fantastic
India.
stories. You know, Journey to the West.
India
you
has
know,
1.2 billion people.
India. Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of fantastic, like, fabled stories that come from those cultures that I would like to see put into a game. You know, more my style of game, but put into a game that I could play. That would be really cool, man. I mean, if you look at, I still think it might be a little bit Black Myth Wukong. I mean, I'm not too sure about this game. It looks a little bit too good to be true. But if it is as good as it is, I mean, that's a story about you know, Journey to the West. That is a fantastic story if you've read it, or I mean, if you've watched what's that really bad show with the fights that go on for 6 weeks long? Umbra, you know it? Umbra?
Yeah, it's an ancient Chinese parable. I'm not sure about the show you're talking about, but
It's with
I agree, bro.
He's too busy putting tomatoes in the chat. It's Goku. You know the Goku, the Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Z is about Journey.
okay.
Is
Dragon Ball.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
he's
it's from-
talking about with the Son Goku, the
Yeah.
whole thing with the I'm like, what you talking about? The fight that goes on for 16 weeks, but he does take some time to charge up. And I know what you mean now.
Oh yeah, it goes like the same
I
fight
think if
happens for an
anything
entire week.
showed it, I think if anything showed it, Assassin's Creed showed it. You know, the history intertwined with the gaming just makes for a great game.
Yeah.
Architecture, all that kind of stuff intertwined together. And there's so many regions in the world we haven't explored. Really looking forward to Black Myth Wukong because it's something new. You know, it's an ancient Chinese parable, not something that people in the West typically know a lot about. So I think it'll be a lot of fun. And I think India, would be another really good place to explore.
Yeah, and I mean South America as well. There's a lot of stories coming out of there and a lot of history there as well that you could play around with. So it'd just be really good to see a lot more cultures getting involved. And I think Xbox is reaching out to do that. I think traditionally PlayStation has been in the West, but I mean, like if they just get them like global. I mean Africa. There's oldest where humans began. Like there's a lot of history there as well. It's just so much more that we haven't explored, I think, in video gaming outside of the Western culture. It'd be fantastic to get a bit more reach. So for me to see this happening, even though they're not my type of games, JRPGs, etc., this is, I think, the beginning of something that I hope that we see Xbox lean into in the future. So really, really positive. Super excited for the future of it. Not the current. Look, that's been the show, guys. I am at work and I can only keep it to about 2 hours. It's been an absolutely crazy show. We had Attic drop in and we got Fly Guy, man. It was fantastic to have you on the show. Thanks for coming through, bro. Please let the people know where they can find you, what you'll be up to, what your plans are for the future. And if you want to find Fly Guy after the show a little bit later, you'll be able to click on the links down below, which will take you to his Twitter or his YouTube.
As you guys know, like you said, my name is Fly Guy GBG on Twitter. You can find, or X, whatever you guys call it. I called it Twitter. It's the same, real Fly Guy GBG. You just have to add real in front of it. YouTube, same thing. If you guys are interested and if it's okay with Riskit right here, I am starting my own podcast, and actually my first episode is tonight. So
Hey,
good stuff.
Oh, damn.
congratulations, brother. When? So how far away are you? How can everyone find you?
47 minutes.
Oh, damn.
Congratulations, bro.
That's funny. We're probably going to go for another 50 minutes. So that's going to be no, you're right. It's fantastic to have you on the show, man. Thank you for coming through. It's been a couple of weeks we've been trying to get this hooked up, so I'm glad we did. Appreciate your takes, man, coming through. And guys, head over down to the description. You'll be able to find a link to that YouTube. Jump in there, go to the live section, and you'll be able to find his podcast when he goes live. I'm assuming it's on YouTube.
Yes, it is on YouTube. Of course, if you guys find my Twitter, it's I have a link to my Twitter as well. So yep, it's on YouTube.
Fantastic. Yep, you can find both those links down below. Umbra, it has been a fantastic week, not least of which because of this.
Oh yeah. So long as I don't
Not
get
this
interrupted by the
again,
poking.
bro.
Oh,
God.
he ruined it again. He
God
did
damn
it.
This is my favorite addition to the show right now. This thing that's happening.
I'm so sorry, chat. I'm trying to give you all what you need, but Pete just doesn't want that to happen.
What are you
You
doing,
know.
mate?
What are you doing? Stop cock blocking me, you.
Well, let people know where they
no.
can find you, how your week's looking, all that stuff.
Absolutely. You guys can find me on Twitter X, Infinite Umbra or Umbra Infinite. You'll find me either way. Of course, on Tuesdays, Xbox Factor with Boom and the cast. And by the way, we'll be actually adding in Steel Rain to the shows permanently now.
Nice.
So myself, Steel Rain, Danny McG. And Thursdays,
Oh
obviously.
man, just
my
when you think it
podcast.
can't get worse. I mean, no. Okay.
Oh, no. It can only go up from, it can only go up as far as I'm concerned. But
Well,
Thursdays,
that's what she said.
No, that's what I said to her. It can only go up, girl. Oh, yeah. Anyway, sorry. Nope.
That huge switch.
Peter's going to interrupt it, so there's no need. He's hating. But no,
Can only do what the chat wants. Yeah,
They don't
you
want
see them all
that.
call me for the interruption.
they don't want your hate.
They want to hear the smooth Australian accent, not your nonsense.
Well, Riskit's
I
been
just
talking all this
linked,
time.
When you find one, bring them on.
Yeah, there you
I
go.
just linked Flyby's YouTube, guys. So please go sub to that. 45 minutes this show's starting. So go jump on and check him out.
Yes, and by the way, shout out to you, Fly Guy, and good luck to you on your podcast. What is it called again?
Gaming on the fly.
Gaming
on the fly.
Very
I like that. Hey, Blind Riot in the chat. I just wanted to respond to something he said. He said, good to know Riskit is a pony bot. Blind Riot, I am not a pony bot, but I just give you my truth, my opinions. You can take them or leave them. Umbra?
Yeah, no, but it's a good show, guys. Good talking with you guys. Thanks, chat, for you guys being here and holding us down. And Thursdays, I forgot to say, of course, Xbox, The Fix, or should I say. And Fridays, of course, here again. So you guys come through and support us, and we appreciate you for it. Shout out to the panel here, of course. Thank you, guys, and except Pete for being here tonight. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week.
Absolutely awesome. Jedi Knight, another fantastic week. There's a lot to talk about. I guess,
Please let the people know where they can find you and what you'll be up to for the next week.
Yeah, that super chat threw the show for a bit of a loop, and so did Discord getting on today. So sorry about the technical issues. I don't know what I'll be playing. Probably Call of Duty, Halo, and Baldur's Gate. You can find me at JediKnightPeter everywhere. Peace and love to everybody.
Absolutely, man. I can't. We didn't talk about Baldur's Gate, but I don't like to publicly praise the game because there is someone who we associate with that just has a love for it that I like to shit on at every opportunity I can. But to be honest, that's that game is
Does his name match wouldn't rhyme with Bazual?
It does, yeah, a little bit. But that game is absolutely crazy good, man. I'm loving it. Like it's you can just do sort of almost anything, man. You could like bash down a door if you can't unlock it. Yeah, it's crazy. Like there's so much. I don't want to get too into it.
You can use a. Sorry, you go.
No, you're right. Jump in.
I was going to say, Casual told me you can use a bucket as a helmet. Like, what game can you do that? That's just crazy. The amount of things that you can do in that game. Really enjoying it.
I think he just saw your character, bro, and he was trying to get you to put a bucket on your head, but that's cool.
Why is this thing on my head? My name is Bruce. Take this off of me. The world needs to see me. I'm a tamer. I'm going to tame you.
My awesome character. I get it.
I'm
just jealousy flows.
Yeah. I'm going to tame you, silly.
Wow. We gotta get out of here. But Blue, another fantastic week. Great having you on every week.
Umbra.
Oh,
you can't follow Umbra. Just say goodbye right now, right? He's on some special today. I feel like you slept really well today or something, dude.
I got some good rest.
Your energy level is high.
Well, let people know where they can find you. What you planning for the next week? What you be playing?
Yeah, I'm ThatBlueNumber everywhere. And I am going to I working on Alan Wake 2. I have committed to myself that I will be done with it before the end of the year. If not Christmas. It's just I can only play it in short doses. So yeah. And then Call of Duty. And then I'm going to be playing some Back 4 Blood with some friends, which I've never played. So I'm interested in seeing what that's like. And yeah. Skull and Bones this weekend. And I will tell you all about it.
Yeah, well,
and how wrong you are, I'm sure.
I can't wait for you to be
another closed beta invitation. I can't get anyone to play it. So
I can't. Honestly, you're gonna be disappointed. Blind Riot. Like I'm generally not abusive, so I'm not going to be. But if you keep on, bud, you won't be coming in here, mate. If you're going to act like a dick, all right. Last warning. Anyway, brighten up the show. It's been an absolutely fantastic. We have some fantastic guests. Good to see Fly Guy coming through. Really appreciate you, man. And Addict as well. Got a chance to drop through. And anyone who came through and stayed from King Show, really appreciate every single one of you in the chat. You guys are amazing. Steph Blind, right? Bobby, even you. We love you, man. Guys, please hit the like button. We'll go live next week at 7 p.m. EST. And hopefully I'll be playing a lot of Baldur's Gate this week. And we'll see you all next week.
Bye, y'all.